Welcome to Sterling Insights, Stand Out and Supercharge Your Assets, the go-to podcast for financial advisors aiming to grow their assets under management, stand out in a crowded market, and retain assets nearly forever. Are you advising high net worth clients who own appreciated capital assets? Do you want to help them sell without losing a quarter, a third, or even more of their hard-earned profits to capital gains taxes? Then this podcast is tailored for you. Each episode brings you the latest strategies and expert advice from leading financial advisors, seasoned attorneys, and experienced CPAs. Learn how to maximize your clients' wealth, minimize their taxes, and supercharge your advisory practice with actionable insights. Join us on Sterling Insights, Stand Out and Supercharge Your Assets, where you'll gain the knowledge and tools to set yourself apart and achieve unparalleled success in wealth management. Subscribe now and empower your practice for a brighter, more prosperous future.
Welcome to the Sterling Insights Supercharge Your Assets podcast. This is Charles Trakas, guest host, here with Karen Cassidy, enrolled agent in Florida. She has over 41 years experience in the public accounting experience. How you doing today, Karen?
I'm doing awesome. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I want to thank you for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you have a very unique background after speaking with you. There's a lot of things that we can talk about, but let's just get right into one is, how did you become an enrolled agent?
Okay, it's really funny. I had been working in public accounting for a long time, okay? I originally come from Connecticut. So even though I'm now here in Florida, but I learned, basic accounting and everything like that up in Connecticut. And I worked for a CPA. He was wonderful and everything like that. When I came down to Florida, I decided to open up my own shop down here. Okay. And in talking to somebody, it was actually my husband's ex-partner. My husband was a retired police officer. His ex-partner worked for the federal building and knew a guy who worked for the IRS. And they brought up the term enrolled agent. So I talked to the IRS guy and I said, so what is an enrolled agent? He kind of, clued me into it. I says, so what is it different from what I'm doing now as far as tax preparation? He says, you get to charge more. I says, I'm in. I said, that's what really led me to become an enrolled agent. I'm not going to lie. It was expensive, but not only that, but having those initials at the end of your name really does say something. It gives you some street cred, for lack of better words.
So did it require extra training, educational, any additional above and beyond a CPA designation?
Okay. CPA has a whole nother set of values that you have to, or hoops you have to go through. You need no educational background to become an enrolled agent. All you have to do is, now, I passed the enrolled agent twice. The first time, it was only offered once a year. There were 4 different parts. You had to take them on 2 separate days, 2 parts on one day, 2 parts on the next day, and you would find out. That was in like August or September. You'd find out in January which parts you passed. And then you'd have to take the ones you failed until you passed them. Okay. But there was also no thing like they have like Becker, they have Surgent now to help you study for these things. I got the IRS provided graciously every single publication known to mankind that they had. And it was a big thing, came in priority mailbox. And that's what I studied and passed the enrolled agent exam with.
So that exam obviously was a little outdated.
Yes. So when I retook it, it's only 3 parts and you find out immediately. I mean, it's still a hard test, but it's not as hard as the CPA exam. And again, no specific credentials. You don't need an associate's degree, a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, nothing. If you know your stuff, you can become an enrolled agent. Because it's not, and I don't want to say, oh, it's an easy test. No, it's not. You know what I'm saying? You got to know your tax stuff. You have to basically just know the tax code.
Did the gentleman in the IRS help you in any way? Study for
Nope, nope, nope. I just said thank you because I wanted to know, and I left him alone. You know what I'm saying? He didn't help me at all. And I neither did I ask. Because again, I just started reading through a lot of the stuff I had already, because I was already, preparing tax returns and stuff like that. So there were things that I did know, but I didn't do many trusts or estates or like kind of exchanges and get into like foreign tax and everything like that. So that stuff I really had to learn because I hadn't done that before. You follow what I'm saying? You
I
know,
yeah, so yes, exactly. It's a new territory for you. Um,
right.
tell me, what did that mean to you when you passed the EA exam for the first time?
It was more than just the money. It was just the thing of I come from, I'm a second generation American. My grandparents came from Poland and Slovenia. And, during the like between the First and the Second World War. So my father was one of 11 kids. He made it to the ninth grade. My mother did like a business high school, you know what I'm saying? So for me to get that, even though unfortunately they were not alive when I got it, because they died early on in my lifetime. Um, it was just it meant so much to me because I was able to build on the education that they provided for me, and also the a lot of things that were graciously given to me, the breaks that I got, along the way, I was able to become an enrolled agent. So it meant a lot to me. And it also meant I kind of knew what I was talking about. So that was really special. You know what I'm saying? To say that I passed this really
Oh,
difficult exam.
I agree 100%, and I'm more than sure your parents were pretty proud, really proud of you. Um,
Hmm.
did you go to like a firm to work to get more experience, or did you just stay and just self-employed and work your own client base? I mean, give me a little path. I mean, 41 years is a long time, you know.
Right. When I was 19, I started working for a CPA firm up in Connecticut. All right. And I was doing basically full charge bookkeeping, which is all the way up to just right before you would do the tax return. Then I said, well, I would like to have some more. I want to do taxes. So my boss put a 990, which is a nonprofit organization tax return in front of me and said, happy birthday or whatever. He said, go at it. And that was my foray into doing taxes. So I learned on the go. No, I didn't even have an associate's degree back then, nothing. I learned on the go. He was an excellent teacher, taught me so much. I will be forever grateful for him. He was my mentor and everything like that. So I worked for him for almost 11 years. And then I came down to Florida, and that was when I started going to school, got my associates, started on my bachelor's, and in the process was doing my own business.
Great, great. So basically, how long now you've been in Florida?
Since 94.
94. That's great. Um, here's a good one. I always like to know who's your ideal client? Who do you like to work with versus, we always look at our book of business and we find out we have, more of this versus that. And it's like, well, how did we get there?
Mm-hmm. I I don't mind a difficult client. You know what I'm saying? Some people are like, well, I want them all to be friendly, to leave me alone, or to listen to what I say and stuff. I don't mind because that's a challenge to me. I don't mind a difficult client. I wouldn't want a rude client, but if a client is asking me pressing questions, they should. He or she should, because I should have those answers. You follow what I'm saying?
Yes.
So the
Yes.
best client that I have is the client that I could do the most help for. You follow? I don't
Is there
want
is there is
to.
there any is there like a niche or a specific area that you really are very good at helping your clientele with?
Usually small to medium sized businesses. I love them because there are many a times the ones that get overlooked. People want the higher price, the more revenue and everything like that. And the people who have smaller businesses, they need help too. So I'm saying I love helping out them. Mind helping out a mom and pop store that's been in business for 40, 50 years. I'm saying? I don't look down. I don't turn my nose down at them, for lack of better words. They need, if they need a tax return done, they need monthly bookkeeping done, or whatever the case may be, I'm there. And I love, even better than that, I love a challenge. So somebody comes and says, hey, I haven't filed my tax return in 6 years and I got this business and my books are all messed up and everything like that. Can I bring it to you in a paper bag? We've had stuff come in a dish drainer to us. I'm like, yeah, bring it in however you can or whatever, send it through the email or whatever. And it doesn't scare me. Those challenges I love. So
Good.
those are the type of clients I like to work with, the ones that feel like, oh, nobody's going to take me because my books are so messed up. No, we'll make them look real pretty.
I might take you up on your services because we just had somebody that their older brother passed away, and they walked into the office, and there are no file cabinets. There is just clutter of paper and boxes everywhere.
Yes,
Yeah, that's a challenge. That's a challenge.
that is a challenge.
That's a
Yes, yeah.
challenge in the head. But anyway,
And I'm not, yeah.
here's another one. What are the common issues you help these small business owners with?
Well, first of all, in order to any business needs to know how their business is doing. Okay. So I mainly use QuickBooks, but I'm not, for me, any kind of accounting software is beneficial. How are you going to know how your business is doing if you can't see a financial statement, especially a profit and loss? A profit and loss means so much, not only to see how you're doing, especially for taxes. I can't tell you how many people come to me at the 11th hour and say, oh, great, I've got a $300,000 profit. They didn't know about it because no books were done throughout the whole year. They paid no estimated taxes, and now we're stuck. And you're going to owe a lot of money, penalties and interest to the government. We don't want that to happen because we don't want to pay the IRS any more money than the IRS is, due them. I was Doge before Doge existed. Okay. We don't want to give out any more money.
That's great.
Have to.
No,
You know what
that's
I'm
great.
saying?
That's great because it says that you're more like me. You're more proactive than reactive with your clientele.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and that's listen, that is very important. Being proactive with your clients up front as well because they know the value that you're bringing to them.
Mm-hmm.
What are some common, what are some common misconceptions about? I've had people say, "Well, I'd rather have a CPA than an EA do my taxes," and I just kind of question them,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
tell me why, and there's really
Okay.
never a good reason.
Okay. The difference between an enrolled agent and a CPA is that a CPA is more looked out for auditing purposes. Okay. That doesn't mean an enrolled agent can't do it. You know what I'm saying? But an enrolled agent is focused on taxes. Okay. So a CPA is more focused on GAAP regulation and doing that type of auditing. You're not going to necessarily go to enrolled agent if you have to do a 10K public accounting, report for the Security and Exchange Commission. That you want a CPA for, okay? But the really big difference that a lot of people don't know is that as an enrolled agent, as I sit here in Florida and I do a lot of remote work and everything like that, I don't know where you live, but if you live in California, I can represent you because the enrolled agent is a federal credential. CPA, you're only licensed in the state you got your CPA exam in. Just like an attorney is only licensed in the state that they can only go to the court. Well, an EA or a CPA can't go to tax court except if you're a tax attorney. But I can go and be on the phone with somebody in Delaware and I can represent them because I'm an enrolled agent. You
And
know what I'm saying? Because I'm
that is
federally known.
that's
Yep.
very strong. It's kind of like with me with my insurance license. Unfortunately,
Mm-hmm.
it's all state. You know what I mean? I have to go to every state. With my securities, I'm nationwide and like you, virtual basically, which is a great value. Like I just had someone from California actually ask for some help. Um,
Mm-hmm.
no, that is good. All right, so now I'm going to ask you something. No one ever wants to say anything ever went wrong, but we all have
Mm-hmm.
something that, look, it went wrong. It was probably
Mm-hmm.
our fault, something, but something went wrong. Give me a
Mm-hmm.
story, a case, anything that's on the top of your head.
If something went on wrong like that I did wrong, I've never done anything. I'm only kidding. Um, well, I think client communication is really important. So I've had one client where after a while trying to be their counselor as well as doing their accounting work, which a lot of times you have to put on very many hats because they will come to you. I've had people come into my office up in Connecticut and sit down and be like, my girlfriend left me, or I had to break up with my girlfriend. And I'm like sitting there, they're like, who are you? Why are you asking? How does this help your bank reconciliation? I don't know. But you follow what I'm saying? But I did have somebody who it was like, I can't, there's not enough hours in the day for me to give you what you need. So sometimes that's when things go wrong, when you get a little too close to clients, or they, what I'm saying, they think that they can kind of monopolize your time. I think that's the
Sure.
hardest thing. Wish there were more hours in the day, but I can't like have them be calling at 6, 7 o'clock at night when I have grandchildren to deal with and everything like that.
Do you, to justify that? I mean, a lot of times,
Mm.
no, I get the same thing. So first of all, yeah,
Hmm.
I can relate to you. Do you charge them a fee? Like, hey, I'm charging you a fee to do the service, and you're calling me like on the weekends or whatever it may be. Is there an added fee that, or is there an agenda up front that you're saying, here's basically,
Hmm.
how the process works with working with Cassidy Accounting?
Right. Well, first of all, I hate charging by the hour only because sometimes I work faster, sometimes I work slower. And I want that opportunity to not put that on to the client. So I try to do fixed as I can, keep track of my hours just to make sure. So this for future reference,
Right.
if I'm underselling myself or overselling myself, I don't want to do that. So
Hmm.
if I do a fixed thing, I'm expecting if they're a new business, I'm expecting maybe a couple extra calls, and there'll be freebie in there. But it will be more like you're entitled to like one call a week. But if it's starting to get to be where you're calling 20 times in a month, well, now we have to rethink this because you're taking too much of my time. And as we all know, time is money.
Yes.
So, you know what I'm saying?
It's the most, yeah, it's the most valuable thing we have is time, to tell you the truth.
Right.
It's
So I think, right, the way that I would do it is not say, stop calling me. I would say, how about we do this? Let's set aside a time. We meet once a week and make a list. So this way, Fridays between 1 and 2 Eastern Standard Time, ask me all the questions you want. And I think that that will ease their mind to know that it's not like I don't want to answer your questions. It's just times, I even do it. It's like, I want my question answered right now. So please, can I just call you on the phone? Not respecting that, my clients are business people. So I'm taking away from them trying to do their business. So
right.
I have
Right.
to do the same thing. You
Yeah.
know what I'm
No.
saying?
Yes, I hear you. Um, Give me a good story, a really good story, a warm and fuzzy one. I don't know. You did something great. Somebody didn't expect something. Um,
I have to tell you this. I was there a couple of years ago. Um, I was working for TurboTax. I was doing a little side work and I was doing TurboTax and I was helping people out with calls. And there was this woman and she was close to 90 or maybe in her 90s. I don't remember exactly. She had just lost her husband that year and he had always done the tax returns. So when you work for TurboTax, you're not, and this is IRS regulations, you're not supposed to help them with the whole entire tax return. Otherwise, you have to sign it. Okay. And so I know that rule. I can quote it to you from where it comes from and everything like that. But this was a 90-year-old woman who just like lost her husband and stuff like that. So I went on. We use Intuit uses Slack, and I went on Slack and I says, I think I said it this way. Does anybody have a problem if I help this woman to her return. And I got hearts and everything from everybody and stuff like that. And she was so thankful, and it gave me such a warm and fuzzy feeling afterwards, because sometimes you got to tweak the rules a little bit.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Sometimes
And
you have to be human.
exactly. And I remember that. I mean, that was like 3 years ago. I can't remember her name or anything like that, but I really did say, is anybody going to say anything to me? Because I'm going to, and I was even like, go ahead, IRS, come after me, because she needed help,
Yeah,
you
well,
know?
when your colleagues give you emojis that are favorable, you know that you did the right thing. No, great story.
Exactly.
Great story
Exactly.
there. I ask this all the time. It's kind of like your biggest challenge, but it's almost like what you had told me before about, what you've overcome with an illness. I kind of think
Hmm.
that would probably be one of your biggest challenges if you want to talk about that.
Well, yeah, having a mental disability, and I'm very open and honest with it. A lot of people don't understand it and everything like that. Okay, it for quite a few years it made me unable to work. All right. Then I started working on it for quite a long time. And then I started feeling a little bit better about myself. And I says, well, you know what? I have my associate's degree already. I actually lost my enrolled agent because I couldn't keep up with, you have to, on a yearly basis, you have to get continuing education. So I went back to school. I got my bachelor's degree. I got my master's degree. Because I
Great.
said, oh, maybe I'll sit for the CPA exam, and maybe I won't, but I wanted my master's degree. And I went back and got my enrolled agent again. And so it was a long struggle, but if I could say anything to anybody, don't give up on any of your dreams, because you can attain it. Even if you have an illness, even whatever, you can. It might take a while, because again, it took me, probably about 10 years before I was able to function in a much better place. You know what I'm saying? Then I
Great.
said,
Yeah,
okay, now what
great.
can I do?
Yep.
What can I do? And that's what I did. Let's go back to school, because now I'm a little outdated. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day, you didn't need it. You didn't need, a college degree. Now you kind of need it. So I says, well, why, might as well just go for the gusto. Let me get the master's degree. You know what I'm saying? And which was a joy. I loved, because I love school,
No, that's a
or I
great.
love learning.
Yeah, you could tell. You can definitely tell. That's a great story. Um, so what do you I can only say this to my children, if you do something you love, you really don't work. So
That's right.
what do you like best about what you do?
That is so hard. Because I've been asked that a lot. Like, what do you like? Do you like bookkeeping? You're like taxes better. And I'm like, don't ask me. It's like asking, which one is my favorite grandchild. Everybody knows who it is, but it's only because she's the cutest. Oh, I'm only kidding. It's not really, that's the thing. It's hard to really decide, because everybody has their own personalities. And that's the same thing with accounting and with taxes. But I got to tell you, cleaning up, taking something, like I said, someone who hasn't filed a tax return for 6 years, and you need to compilate all that, and you need to take something that was a mess and make some sense out of it, that not only will the client understand it, loan companies will understand it, the IRS will understand it, and so forth and so on. It's like a work of art. And I'm so passionate about that. I love doing that.
You can tell. You can definitely tell that you are into that. That is great. Here is probably a great one.
Hmm.
We've been talking. How does anybody find you? I mean, do you have your website? Uh,
Yeah, yep. It's www yeah, www.cassidyaccounting.com. Okay. And you could go on there. I have Calendly so that you could book a free half-hour consultation. Just shoot the breeze with me. We can talk, we could discuss, or whatever. I am doing some marketing and everything like that, but I'm in the process of it. Okay. But word of mouth has really is helping me, get around and everything like that. And the website, be gentle with me, because I made the website up all by myself. So,
hmm,
yeah.
Is
It's
there is there a telephone office number as well?
yes. Well, it's my cell phone number for right now. I did have a 1-800 number, but I like the controls that I can answer the phone or just send it to voicemail or whatever. So
Okay.
do you want me to give you the number, or is that?
Is it 833-977-7227?
That was the business one that I don't think I'm going to keep. My cell phone number is 352-249-8235.
Great. Perfect. Hey, I want to thank you and everyone for watching or listening to the Sterling Insight Supercharge Your Assets podcast. Have a great day.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Sterling Insights. Stand out and supercharge your assets, where we provide the info you need from successful leading financial advisors, lawyers, and CPAs. Your hosts, Roger and Catherine Silk, invite you to learn more about Sterling Foundation Management by visiting sterlingfoundations.com.